So I'm an amateur card magician, and one of the things that I've learned is that good magicians know how to create the impossible. They know, for example, how to get a certain card to the top of the deck if they want to. Let's take this deck, for example. If I pull the top card off, it's the four of spades, right? But what if I didn't want the four of spades there? What if I wanted to just think of a card? What if I wanted the ace of spades on top? Well, I could snap my fingers and there's the ace of spades. Well, that might be pretty cool, but if I wanted to keep that ace of spades there, let's say I shuffle now. I move new cards to the top of the deck. I do it multiple times. I might even cut the deck in some unique ways. You can see the cut. I might just do that. If I had a table here where you could see, I could do that. And yet somehow, if I point to the deck and raise that card, there's your ace of spades again. How does that happen, and what does it have to do with leadership? Let's cue it up. Okay, so shuffling new cards onto the top of a card deck repeatedly and still coming up with the exact same card on top every time seems pretty impossible, doesn't it? By the way, there were no camera or video editing tricks in that demonstration, and this is a regular non-trick deck. But of course, the techniques used to create that effect are actually quite simple. Otherwise, this very amateur card magician could never pull it off. But professional magicians will tell you that the key to achieving the impossible is in reverse engineering. Innovative magicians literally ask the question, what would be an absolute impossible thing to do, and what would it take to pull that off? In other words, they begin with the end in mind and back up step by step. The result is that what appears to the untrained eye to be absolutely impossible is achievable when one takes the time for innovation. So, here's my question for you. As your organization goes about trying to solve massive social problems, what do you consider to be impossible? What ideas have come before your board or staff that sound amazing, but they just seem too unlikely or impossible, so you simply dismiss them and revert back to what you already know how to do every day? Here's a deeper question. When and how does your organization pause for intentional innovation and creativity? When do you spend that time and energy? Do you merely encourage people to be innovative and creative and hope that they do? Or do you actually create the space for that to occur? Is innovation some cultural value statement on your website? Or do you make the process an imperative action? Author Warren Berger shares a question in his book. It's a 3-question pathway for intentional innovation space. And the 3 questions are this: why? What if? How might we? Why does this organization across town raise so much more money than we do? What if we could amplify and clarify our own visibility in a way that would inspire more investment? How might we start that process? Here's another one. Why is our employee turnover rate so high? What if nobody ever wanted to leave our organization? How might we create an environment that would make our employees tell their friends that this is the absolute best place to work? Now, I know we think about these things all the time, but do we actually engage in the intentional pursuit of creative answers to these kinds of questions? How many times, by the way, have you noticed I've used the word intentional? Well, that is intentional. It is one of the most often used words in my coaching. Why do you think that is? Could it be that many of the things we know are important and true never materialize because we take the action for granted? Could it be that we assume these values will just show up because they're written on our website and they're so impactful in theory? Reverse engineering requires its own process and dedicated bandwidth. Creativity is not just some natural gift that only a few people are blessed with. It's a process. Innovation isn't just an innate talent in some. It's a set of actions: brainstorming, assessing, testing, investing time and money, challenging the norms, and more. We tend to want to skip straight to the implementation, and because we've skipped the other steps, we simply give up at the appearance of the impossible. How can you share this challenge with your team? How can you carve out intentional space to reverse engineer what appears to the untrained eye to be impossible? And the people you serve, are they worth this? The issue that you're addressing, is it worth the effort? That's the Jinx perspective for this week. If you'd like to explore ways that we can help you or your organization achieve greater clarity, simplicity, and alignment in your mission work, reach out and schedule a free discovery call with me by clicking the link that's in the video description below. In the meantime, if you haven't already, I hope you'll subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below, and make sure to include the bell icon so that you're notified when we drop new episodes. And if you haven't heard yet, we have a globally acclaimed leadership podcast called The Leadership Window. Just visit jinxperspective.com and click on podcast, or simply look up The Leadership Window wherever you normally get your podcasts. Lead on.